Chairman. The meeting's live on YouTube.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning and welcome to East Devon District Council's Virtual Licensing and Enforcement Subcommittee on 29th of July 2020. I'm your Chairman, Councillor Joe Wibley. I'd like to welcome anyone watching the meeting via the live streaming. All participants here today are taking part remotely, and as well as being live streamed, the meeting is being recorded, so please bear this in mind throughout, and may I remind you to be careful with your language. May I also remind members that the Code of Conduct applies throughout this meeting, and we reserve the right to remove and disconnect any participant who is disrupting the meeting by whatever means. As this meeting is dependent on internet connection and power supply, in the event of a break in the internet connection or power cut, please bear with us as we try to reconnect. After 15 minutes, if we're not able to reconnect, we will consider the meeting adjourned and reconvene at a later date. Please check the committee page on our website for details. Please make sure all phones are turned off, are on silent, and make sure all microphones are muted when you're not speaking to avoid any background noise levels. Keep points short and do not repeat points that have already been made, and do not interrupt. If you wish to comment, please raise your blue electronic hand and wait to be called. All councillors present have been sent the agenda for today's meeting. And anybody who wishes to view that can do so at www.eastdevon.gov.uk. We'll now start the meeting by doing a roll call of committee members here present. Could you please now unmute your microphone, and when you hear your name, please confirm by saying present. When you've confirmed you're present, please mute your microphone again. So.
Okay. Councillor Joe Wibley.
Present.
Councillor Kim Bloxham.
Present.
Councillor Tom Wright.
Present.
Thank you. I can confirm that the subcommittee is quorate.
Thank you very much, Sue. Okay, so agenda item 2 is the minutes of the previous meeting. If anyone has a comment on the last set of minutes held on the 12th of February 2020, please do so by raising your blue hand. And if I have no blue hands raised, I will take this as an indication that you agree the minutes of the previous meeting. We have no blue hands. Okay, so those minutes are agreed. Item number 3 is apologies. We're all here, so I assume there are no apologies.
No apologies, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 4 is the declarations of interest, which will be done by roll call. Chris?
Councillor Joe Wibley.
I am a member of the Exmouth Town Council Planning Committee, which has considered this application.
Councillor Kim Bloxham.
None, thank you.
Councillor Tom Wright.
None, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So agenda item 5, matters of urgency, of which there are none. Agenda item 6 is the confidential or exempt items, and there are no confidential or exempt items to discuss. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Refuso and Mr. Bailey, who will speak on agenda item 7, which is an application for a premises licence. Mr. Refuso and Councillor Brian Bailey from Exmouth Town Council, can you acknowledge that you can hear me? We can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Thank you very much. Brian, you're muted. We can't hear you.
How's that? All right.
That's better.
Okay,
Brian.
now, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
Cheers. Okay, so this is a bit where I speak quite a lot. This is the consideration of a new premises licence for Natural Growth Wines. The address is Office 8, Exmouth Business Centre, Harley Road, Exmouth. Can I ask if any member has a personal or prejudicial interest? and that includes members observing as well as those on the subcommittee.
I've got
No.
none, Joe.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Okay. So, Mr. Fuso especially, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Joe Wibley, the chairman. We have Councillor Kim Bloxham, who's the vice chairman, and Councillor Tom Wright, who's the other councillor sitting on the subcommittee today. We have the council officers, although I haven't seen him here yet. Stephen Saunders, the licensing manager, who isn't here.
Chair, Mr. Saunders isn't actually attending. I
Right.
believed he was. I apologise for that.
Okay, no worries. We have the licensing officer, Mrs. Barber, who is with the licensing authority outlining the application. We have Mr. Lane from Democratic Services, who'll be taking full notes and minutes of the hearing, and Mr. Salter, council solicitor, who's acting as legal advisor to the committee. This is a hearing into an application for premises license. I would like to now identify who is present, who's already given notice to the council in writing that they wish to address the subcommittee and their representatives. So, Mr. Fuso, you're here. Do you have any witnesses you wish to call?
No.
Okay, and Councillor Brian Bailey, you are here,
Yes, thank you.
and you are from Exmouth Town Council.
I've been asked by the Council Planning Committee to represent them at this hearing.
Okay, thank you very much. So, right. So in terms of responsible authorities, no responsible body has made representations in relation to this application. The interested party is, as we've said, Exmouth Town Council, who will be represented by Brian Bailey. Subcommittee members have read the documents submitted by the parties in advance of this hearing. Any document that anyone has brought with them today may only be submitted to us if all the other parties to this hearing agree, and that's required by the hearings regulations. Anyone wishing to introduce further documentary evidence should make that request immediately before they begin to address the subcommittee. The maximum time for any party to address us, including their witnesses, will be 10 minutes. When addressing us, you should not raise any new issue not covered in the representations you have already lodged with the council, nor should you raise issues which are not relevant to the promotion of the licensing objectives at issue in this hearing, which are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, and the prevention of public nuisance. The written representations we have received from interested parties appear to relate principally to 3 of the 4 licensing objectives. First, in relation to the prevention of crime and disorder, safe storage of wine in a residential area and additional traffic in a congested residential area. Regarding public safety, safe storage of wine in a residential area and additional traffic in a congested residential area. And regarding the prevention of public nuisance, safe storage of wine in a residential area and additional traffic in a congested residential area. Where I think it helpful, I may choose to lead a discussion, as that may be the most effective way of identifying key concerns and possible solutions. I wish to avoid formal cross-examination. I will allow questions at appropriate points. The subcommittee's legal advisor will briefly go through the procedure for today's hearing. Does that happen now?
Yes, it does, Chairman. Thank you very much. I'll
No problem.
now. So the hearing takes part in 3 sections. The first section will be to hear from the licensing officer, Mrs. Barber, who will outline the application as it stands today. Following that, there will be any questions from the subcommittee, then any questions from the applicant, and any questions from the interested parties, all taken in turn. That's the first section over with. The second section then will be the applicant to make his application to the committee, fundamentally outlining what the application is on paper, and telling what his aims are for the premises license. Once he's concluded, a maximum of 10 minutes speaking time. There'll be questions from the committee, and questions from the interested parties. That's the second section. And then the third section is the turn of the interested parties to make their case on their objections to the premises license application. Once that speaker has concluded, that once again questions from the committee and then questions from the applicant. There then may follow the opportunity for the chairman to open out a broader conversation with all parties. And once that's concluded, the subcommittee will then make their decision. So all the attendees will be placed in the waiting room for the 3 subcommittee members to make the decision. If at any time the subcommittee wish to seek legal advice, then I will ask the Democratic Services Officer to put everyone else attending into the waiting room. I will give that legal advice. All those attending will then be invited back into the Zoom meeting, and I will tell the committee and the all attendees what the legal advice is that I have given. When the subcommittee has reached its decision, I will be then invited into the Zoom meeting to discuss that decision with them, and they will then return, or at least all the attendees will then be invited back into the Zoom meeting where the decision will be given. So there will be all the various issues that the committee has considered on the day. You will then receive within 5 working days a full written decision notice, and that will then conclude the whole the whole of the proceedings for today. Hope there are any questions. Then I'll hand back to the chairman.
Okay, if anybody has any questions regarding that, Councillor Tom Wright, you have your
Yes.
hand raised.
Yes, Chairman. I know that we have some new licensing committee members present today, and it might be totally improper, but I'm just wondering whether it would be appropriate and helpful for them to be able to, if you like, witness the discussion that the subcommittee makes without themselves having any input, so that it might give them a bit of experience and understanding of how these proceedings run for when they become subcommittee members. Just a simple point, whether I agree they should not have any way of influencing the subcommittee or speaking to the subcommittee, but just, if you like, silent witnesses might be helpful for them and to the committee in the future.
I agree that would be helpful, but yeah, Giles, how do we stand on that legally?
No, I think it's inappropriate for anyone to be making in the room when the decision is being made, other than the subcommittee. There will be training obviously provided for those committee members who are attending today who haven't had licensing training at some point, hopefully in the very near future. But in a sense, if you imagine, it's a bit like inviting general public into a juror's room when they're deliberating on a decision in a court. So I think it's inappropriate, and so it will just be the subcommittee members for today. Thank you.
That's fine. That's accepted. That's great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Giles, and thanks, Councillor Wright. So now we will hear from the licensing officer who will present the plans and photographs as in the agenda.
Thank you. Good morning. So the application today seeks to license the premises for the sale of alcohol for consumption off the premises. And if you would like to refer to page 30 in your report, you will see the plans of the premises in question. So Mr. Afuso has an office within the Exmouth Business Centre, which is on the first floor of the building, and you'll see that there in the plans on page 31. So the sale of alcohol will take place from that particular office. Alcohol will therefore need to be stored within that office for dispatch then to customers. So the applicant has indicated that this will be a delivery service. So orders will be placed either online or they'll be placed by phone, and alcohol will be delivered by Mr. Afuso to the customers, and he's been very specific that no customers will attend the premises to collect alcohol. It will be purely for delivery. If you have a look at page 23 of your agenda, you can see Mr. Afuso has set out the steps he intends to take to meet the licensing objectives, and he's been fairly specific there about no public attending the premises, so that will become a condition on the license if the license is granted. Also, in addition to the operating schedule, we have received representation from Devon and Cornwall Police, and they've reached an agreement with Mr. Afuso, and additional conditions would therefore be added to the license should it be granted, and those can be found at the very final page of the report at Appendix G, and you will see that they deal mainly with the delivery side of the business and ensuring that alcohol is not left with anyone that is underage. So again, should the license be granted, those conditions will be added in as part of the premises license. That really is the application in a nutshell, really. It's an office. It is within a residential area, as the Town Council have pointed out, and it is within a residential street, and there are parking complications within that street. I visited the location myself, and it is quite busy and fairly congested with parked cars. That is the application. That's all I have for you.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. Does anybody have, does any members of the subcommittee, first of all, have any questions for Leslie? Councillor Wright, your hand is okay, that was from before, that's fine. Mr. Afuso, I understand this is quite a daunting experience. Do you have any questions for Leslie at this stage?
No.
Okay, and Councillor Bailey, do you have any questions?
No, thank you, Joe.
Okay, thank you very much. So now, Mr. Afuso, it's your turn. You have 10 minutes to speak regarding the application, and then there will be questions from members and interested parties. So, Mr. Afuso, you've got 10 minutes.
Sure.
And you'll get a 30-second warning.
Right. Listening to the concern, I think when it comes to the traffic and parking concern, I don't think there should be any, as there are on the premises, there are parking facility allocated to the office, which I'm going to be using just as to deliver, to load the car and drive away, basically. So I wouldn't even, as I leave 5 minutes away, I'll be using the parking space only for loading the car. When it comes to the delivery to the office, as is used as a storage at the minute, or purely as a storage, it will be used even in the future. There will be only one delivery coming to the office once a month, which can be any day that we agree. I can agree with you in any sort of day at any time. I can schedule the delivery for the morning if it's appropriate, or if in the afternoon, whichever is the best for the residents. There will be no noise as such. It will be just a matter of loading off the wines and taking it upstairs. That's when it comes to, I guess, to the traffic sort of concern. To the public safety, I think there's not much to say there, because there will be no, as I've stated on the license objects, there will be no customer or public entering the building or approaching the building in any sort of way, there will be an online or by phone ordering system, and personally there will be no other driver apart from me collecting the wine from the office in the morning and for the entire day, because it will be a next day delivery. So literally I will be going the day before, loading the van, the small van, and then delivering the day after. So it will be not driving off on and off the premises. Apart from that, yeah, I don't know have any other concern. If there is any other concern that I can clarify, or the best I can clarify. So,
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fuso. Do we have any questions from members of the subcommittee? Councillor Bloxham.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Good morning. Just a quick question. What sort of security have you got in the office for when the wine is stored there?
The office is locked with a secure padlock, and obviously there is a reception from 9 till 5. So, but apart from that, there is no. There is a secure padlock on the main entrance. Apart from that, there is no alarm system to the building. So there's obviously, as I'm only renting the office, I won't be able to secure the building with an alarm or system or a camera. Because obviously I'm not allowed to do that.
Thank you. Can I just clarify one thing? Did you say the building has an alarm?
No.
No.
Not as I'm aware of. I've not been made aware of, and as I am entering the building on a regular basis from Monday to Sunday, because I'm checking the wines for the temperature. Yeah, I don't need to insert no codes. I've only got my fob, which is the lock sort of system for the main entrance. And then obviously I have a secure number sort of padlock onto the office door.
Okay, thank you. I've got one other question. Obviously this isn't a new venture, so you don't know what the demand is going to be. What plans have you got in place if your demand outstrips your storage and your delivery that you're talking about once a day?
I am planning for this to be a very small business. I am a one-man sort of band really, and I do not intend to develop in a way that is going to turn into a big company or a business. Obviously, the wine I am providing of a natural sort of source. So again, at this moment, there is a very small sort of numbers of people. They tend to appreciate that sort of wine, which it does make a difference in terms of growing, a fast growing of a business. Yeah, I don't. If in a case, obviously there will be, a major demands for the wine, because obviously this is not just a retail, but is a trading business as well. The wine will be dispatched straight from the main depot, not coming into the office. So the office will be only a storage for the retail, which again, it will be definitely of a small demand.
Okay, thank you. That your trade answer answered my last question. So thank you very much for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Bloxham. Councillor Tom Wright.
Thank you, Chairman. I note the concerns of the Town Council. One of the concerns was safety. I'd just like to ask Mr. Refuso, is it just wine you deal with, or
Yes.
would you be, so you wouldn't be storing more flammable alcohol such as spirits in the office where
No.
there can be? So that's one question. The other
So-
question,
Sure,
the
sorry.
other question is, you are a business, you do obviously have to liaise with other businessmen, particularly perhaps with suppliers and potential wholesale customers. Do they come and visit and chat with you in your office, or is all that online, and you visit them rather than they visit you?
I do visit them, and it's only by phone or online. I only, at the minute, I only supply myself from one main supplier from Surrey, and it's all done by phone or online, not at the office. And in the future, I'm trying to go a bit more specific. So trying to buy directly from vineyards, which obviously will be me directly going into the vineyard.
Okay,
That's
do you have
fine.
any more questions? Is that okay, Councillor Wright?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's fine.
Brilliant. I have a question, Mr. Fuso. On the plans, it appears that there's a window in the office. Does this window have any kind of grille or security on the outside, or is it just glass?
No, it's just double glazed window.
Okay, cheers. Thank you. That is my
Is,
question.
if that is of relevance, is a rooftop.
Okay, of course, because it's on the
not
yeah.
an easy climb to reach. Not
Okay.
an easy to reach.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay. Do we have any questions from the interested party, which would be Councillor Brian Bailey? You're muted,
Hello?
Councillor Bailey. That's better.
Oh, good, okay. Well, my concern is this premises is called the Exmouth Business Centre, which one would imagine would be a building specifically for business. In effect, it's a private residence, and the applicant is renting a room in a private residence. So first things, it's not what it appears. I mean, one's imagination would be a business.
Councillor Bailey,
A business centre is a business centre.
do you have any specific questions for the applicant at this stage?
Yes,
or
I do. Yes, I do.
Are you going to give your would you like to start your 10-minute speaking on the application?
Yes, please. Well,
Okay, that's fine.
firstly,
Sorry, can I just confirm there's no question from Exmouth Town Council's representative to the applicant?
oh, okay.
Right,
Well,
Councillor Bailey, do you have any specific questions, or would you like to move on and make the interested party's case?
your legal advisor has just told me I'm not allowed to ask any questions.
No, he's asking you.
No,
if
I said
there are no
I've asked you whether you have a question for the applicant. That's where we are in the hearing, just to make it clear, so we run it as clearly and fairly as possible. Do you have a question for Mr. Efuso?
Yeah, I'm concerned. Yes, I am concerned. My question is, there is lack of security. And what does he intend to do about it? There's no CCTV and there's no alarm. So that is one of my questions at the moment.
Sorry, am I answering?
Mr. Efuso, can you confirm there is no CCTV or alarm?
As I've mentioned, yes, there is no, apart the two main padlock at the entrance and on the office door, there will be no major security apart from me regularly. And I mean, when I say regularly, I check the wines in the morning and I check the wines in the afternoon, because obviously a temperature matter to me. So yeah, I will be visiting regularly the room on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, Councillor Bailey, if you would now like to have your 10 minutes to speak on the application, now you may begin. So
Thank you very much.
Now's the time to outline your concerns.
Thank you. Well, at the Town Council Planning Committee, we did discuss this, and I was elected to be their representation today. Our first concern that this is in a prime site, a residential site. You still hear me, Joe? It's gone. Where have we gone?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
I can
Thank
hear
you. It's in a prime residential site. The extra traffic, which anyone who's seen the road, it's a very narrow road. And once one vehicle is parked, because there's parking on both sides, it's causing congestion. So when the deliveries occur, one would assume they'd be in a large van, which is going to block the road, which is not very good for public safety. Also, we're concerned about the nuisance. The applicant says it's going to be quiet, but while you're lifting quite a large number of boxes in and out of a vehicle, it's bound to make noise. And regarding what the applicant said, a delivery once a month, I find surprising, because if you're having a delivery once a month, you're not going to sell very much at all, are you? So, but our main concern is residential area and public safety and public nuisance. Thank you. That's the reasons why we're against it, Chairman.
Sorry, am I allowed to answer to that?
Well, you can ask Councillor Bailey a question, or
in regards to the traffic, as I've mentioned, there is an allocated parking space to the office, which is off the road and is onto the property. So that's when it comes to the daily sort of activity. When it comes to the once a month delivery, again, there is the car park, which is onto the property, not off the road, not on the main road, so it won't block the traffic in any sort of way. That is where the van, which is not again a major truck, is a small van. And yes, I'm not planning to develop the business in a major sort of. I'm hoping to be successful for myself, but not to become a major sort of a wine supplier. So we're talking about specifically, we're talking about probably 350 bottle a month. So that counts, at the minute, it counts probably about 40 boxes a month, which is probably, it takes 2 square meter in the room, 1.5 square meter in the room. So there is a relative 1/4 of the room. So there is plenty of space in the room. As a matter of fact, as is stated on the license, there is a desk, there is office furniture in there, there is plenty of room. When it's down to carrying the boxes, I can only assure that the less noisy I'll try to be as less noisy as possible. And again, is myself taking the boxes upstairs, and I'm very mindful of people walking around the building. As a matter of fact, there is an office downstairs, and as you walk up the stairs, there is no other offices occupied or of a relevant sort of business. At this stage, I don't see it of myself or the business creating any disturbance or trouble on the road and on the premises. I hope that answered the question.
Okay,
I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fuso. Do we have any questions from subcommittee members for Councillor Bailey? Councillor Bloxham.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Bailey, you mentioned that it's a very residential area. When the Exmouth Town Council received any representations from any members of the public, either for or against this application?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you. Has any of the comments that Mr. Fuso made today reassured you in any way?
No, to be honest.
Right, thank you. That's it, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bloxham. Councillor Tom Wright, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Chairman. I noticed Councillor Bailey's comments and the objections that this was a business being carried out in a residential area. I'm not a member of the planning committee anymore, but surely this is a business centre with 12 offices. So planning permission has already been given for these premises to be used for business purposes. Is that the case?
I am not aware of the planning permission for the business centre. That wasn't what came before us, Tom. What came before us was an application for a license for an off-licensed premises.
Yes, but the whole crux of your main thrust of your comments was that this was a business in a residential area. If these premises have already been approved for business use, I think that horse has already left the stable. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, if that's your opinion.
Okay.
Chair, can I just make a comment that actually that the licensing act regime and the planning act regime are two separate parallel pieces of legislation, groups of legislation, and that as long as the requirements of the licensing act are adhered to in the application, i.e. the 4 licensing objectives, then any issues of planning have no place within any decision making on a licensing act decision.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bailey. Leslie, would you like to comment at this point?
I would, yes, thank you. If that's okay. I just wanted to draw attention to a part of the report that I maybe didn't mention at the start, and that is on page 9, and that deals with the wholesale aspect of this, and that the Licensing Act covers the retail sale of alcohol. So even without, Mr. Fuso would not need a premises license under the Licensing Act to continue to trade the wholesale trade of alcohol. And by wholesale, the basic definition would be sale to members of the trade for them to then sell to members of the public. So I suppose the point that I just want to make clear is that this premises license really is simply for the retail sale of alcohol. Without this license, Mr. Fuso would be able to continue to run his business from that location. He would be able to sell to the trade, and he would actually be able to sell unlimited amount of alcohol. So I just wanted to make that clear that it's quite an unusual situation, but there is a very clear definition within the Licensing Act between retail sale to members of the public and wholesale, which would not require a license. So with or without this license, the business could continue in that location from that office space.
Okay, thank you very much for that. It's very interesting. Okay, does any party have any more questions for anybody else? Mr. Fuso, are you okay at the moment? Do you have any more questions for anybody?
If there is any way I can reinsure Mr. Bailey in any way, please, if he's got any more question or any way I can, I'm here to do my best to in your interest, because I understand that it is a residential area, and I've got fully, I'm fully I've got full respect for people living in the area, and I do not want to create no trouble. So if there's any way that I can readdress or can reinsure his concern, I'm very happy to do so in any way.
Okay, thank you very much. So does anybody else have any questions or concerns for anybody else? Or should we move on to the next section? Okay, thank you, Mr. Affuso. Thank you, Councillor Bailey. From Exmouth. Sorry. Okay. Right, I think it is now time for everybody but the subcommittee to be removed to the waiting room. Is that the case now, Giles?
That's correct. Yeah. You can now go to your decision.
Okay, that's cool. So we will
Okay,
see
Chair.
everybody in a little while.